It is common knowledge that I liked Chin Henian. He and I were drugged and locked in the same room, even with bloodshot eyes. He was unwilling to touch me. He looked at me with a cold expression and said, "You're really debasing yourself by learning to drug men and offer yourself to them." Everyone thought I would take advantage of the situation and force him to marry me. However, without hesitation, I cut my wrist and soaked it in cold water to stay awake and live stream to prove my innocence. In my previous life, Chin Henian firmly believed that I was behind the scheme. As a result, he failed to marry Gu Mian, the girl he loved the most. He hated me for his entire life. In the 10th year of our marriage, Gu Mian and I both fell into the sea. Before drowning, I watched him swim towards Gu Mian. In this life, I will never repeat the same mistakes. 1. Chin Henian was kneeling in the corner with red-rimmed eyes, and the gentle and refined smile in his eyes was gone. He had always been measured in his actions and rarely got angry. At this moment, there was a faint anger in his eyes, and his face became even more gloomy. He coldly questioned me. "Did you drug me, Song Jian? Have Mian and I been too kind to you, that you dared to scheme against me?" I had been in love with Chin Henian for 6 years, and it was well known. And it was also common knowledge that the person in Chin Henian's heart was Gu Mian. My brain was also controlled by the drug. In the last moment of remaining lucidity, I didn't hesitate to pick up the knife on the table and scratch my arm. The blade was sharp, and as soon as it touched my arm, red liquid flowed out immediately. I stumbled and ran to the toilet, filled the sink with water, and immersed both hands in it. When the pain was greater than the body's heat, my brain finally cleared. It hurt so much that it went numb. In the previous life, the effect of the drug was too strong, and I completely lost my mind. Under my seduction and the control of the drug, Chin Henian couldn't help but be moved. When he woke up, there was no longer any smile on Chin Henian's face. His eyes were filled with indifference and disgust. Chin Henian and I were family friends. He was my nominal little uncle, and there was no blood relationship between us. The first time I saw him, my cheeks turned red. After I came of age, I pursued him openly. He taught me gently like an elder, "Jian, this is not love. You're still young and don't know what love is." He thought that my liking was just a child's whim and wouldn't last long. But this liking lasted for 6 years in a blink of an eye, until he and I were framed, drugged, and locked in the same room. From then on, he never had a good look for me again. Outside the hotel that day, a group of reporters crowded tightly. As soon as the door was opened, the messy clothes on the ground and our disheveled appearances could be seen. Everyone tacitly knew what had happened. Finally, for the sake of both families and the company's stocks, Chin Henian had to marry me to end the matter. The relationship between Gu Mian and Chin Henian had always been ambiguous. Chin Henian liked Gu Mian. They kept in touch but never confirmed their relationship. I once asked Gu Mian, "Sister Mian, will you marry Chin Henian? Do you like him?" Gu Mian smiled gently, and her eyes dimmed a bit. "No, I don't like him." After getting her answer, I dared to pursue Chin Henian so recklessly, but I never expected such a thing to happen. After marrying Chin Henian, I became the laughingstock in the eyes of the noble ladies and the daughters of aristocratic families. Chin Henian, who had always been indifferent to women, began to wander around nightclubs and bars. In the eyes of outsiders, Chin Henian was the victim in this marriage. He was extremely pitiful. After being schemed by me, he lost his lover and was forced to marry a woman he didn't love. In the 10 years of marrying him, I was criticized and insulted. Gu Mian, as the well-known first love school beauty of University A, was protected by everyone. I became the vicious supporting female character in everyone's eyes. Chin Henian treated me coldly and indifferently. Every time he looked at me, there was only hatred in his eyes. "Song Jian, you haven't learned anything all these years. You've only learned to debase yourself and offer yourself to men," I had explained, but they all didn't believe that I was also a victim in this matter. The man I had wanted to marry since I first fell in love completely shattered after I turned 22. After marriage, I tried to change his view of me, but he became colder and colder towards me day by day. For Gu Mian and to divorce me, Chin Henian continuously expanded the business territory of the Chin family. Within a few years, the Chin family became the absolute number one, allowing the Chin family and the Song family to be completely separated. Chin Henian held a grand birthday party for Gu Mian without considering my feelings. The upper-class society all knew that I, Song Jian, the wife of the Chin family, was just a nominal one. In my youth, That bosom big sister who repeatedly said that she didn't like Chin Henian was actually enjoying everything that Chin Henian gave her. She clearly said that she didn't like Chin Henian, but when I was slandered for interfering in her relationship with Chin Henian, she remained silent. At the banquet, Gumian and I fell into the water together. When I fell into the water, I saw Chin Henian's face suddenly change, and he swam towards Gumian, too. When Chin Henian saw me cutting my hand, his eyebrows furrowed tightly, and he walked towards the bathroom, to prevent the reporters from taking things out of context. I didn't dare to soak in the bathtub. As long as my clothes were a little wet, it could be fabricated that something almost happened between Chin Henian and me. I could only cut my wrist to hurt myself and also took the initiative to turn on the live stream to record my every move. When I saw him approaching me, I roared, "Don't come over, stay away from me." Suddenly, the door was kicked open, the reporters outside quickly swarmed in, the flashlights went off with a clicking sound. Seeing the intact clothes on Chin Henian and me and the neat and orderly furnishings in the room, and the distance between Chin Henian and me, the reporters showed disappointed expressions. I didn't want to have any relationship with Chin Henian. I completely relaxed. This time, nothing would happen between Chin Henian and me. When I saw a friend come in, I felt relieved and closed my eyes. Chin Henian and I were both sent to the hospital. As soon as I opened my eyes, in front of me was Gumian's plain face. She was wearing a washed-out lawn dress and looked pitiful. Her tone was a bit anxious and tinged with a crying voice. "Jian, I know you like Henian, but you can't ruin your innocence like this. Do you know how important this is for a girl?" Gumian's words were subtly implying that I was the one who drugged them. Chin Henian was also in the ward. He recovered faster than me. There was no sign of embarrassment, as if nothing had happened. Gumian looked extremely nervous and worried, acting as if she was doing it for my own good. I lifted my eyelids and looked at Chin Henian. "Call the police, this is not a small matter," Gumian shouted in a somewhat sharp voice. "No." Chin Henian's gentle gaze fell on her. I looked at her coldly. She pinched the corner of her clothes and explained, "Jian, you're a girl. This matter will have a bad impact on you. If people find out, they will say that you're indiscreet and stop at nothing to pursue a man." Chin Henian's expression was cold. There was no longer the measured smile and care he used to have for me. There was only disgust and dislike. After listening to Gumian's explanation, he was stunned for a moment. His tone was cold and warning. "Song Jian, I won't pursue this matter this time. But don't let this happen again." I smiled faintly. "Why not pursue it? Why should I be drugged for no reason and almost have my innocence ruined by you? I won't let go of the person who drugged me behind my back." I saw that Gumian's face turned a bit pale. The arc of Chin Henian's mouth curled up with sarcasm. He seemed to think that me calling the police was a joke. In his heart, he thought that this matter was my self-directed and self-acted play. In my previous life, I didn't have the opportunity to explain, but after marrying him, I explained countless times. He never believed me. What he thought didn't matter to me, but I wouldn't let myself take the blame for no reason. 3. After being discharged from the hospital, I seriously attended classes at school. I only went home on weekends. My family and the Chin family were family friends. No matter what, we couldn't completely cut off contact. My parents often went abroad and left me in the Chin family. But after being discharged from the hospital, I no longer pestered Chin Henian. In the upper class circles of the capital, everyone knew that I was Chin Henian's little tail and would stick to him all day long. I was vigilant against every opposite sex around him and spared no effort to dispel their coveting and attaching to Chin Henian. I deleted all the copywriting and photos related to Chin Henian in my moments in one go. The Weibo that had recorded him for 6 years was also cancelled. On the weekend, I returned to the Chin family. Chin Henian was leaning against the sofa. His long legs were crossed, and he sat there looking at me. His deep voice had no fluctuation. Back, I was stunned for a moment, then nodded and changed my shoes. His expression was cold. "Song Jian, I've spoiled you too much, which made you dare to drug me. Your parents haven't come back yet, but because of your parents' instructions before they left, I will still take good care of you for them. I'll tell you one last time, I don't like you. Stop pestering me, remember? You should call me little uncle." I sneered and looked at him without speaking. I walked straight towards the room that originally belonged to me. With my back to him, he said, "From today on, I won't come back here anymore. You can live in this villa as you like." Before leaving, he sneered casually and looked at me contemptuously, telling me, "The mistress of the Chin family will only be Gumian. You're so old, love yourself." Don't always do things like chasing after men. Don't do such debasing things like offering yourself again. I didn't stop and walked up the stairs. If he thought I was chasing after him, then why did he accept the pair of rings my parents gave me? My parents gave me a pair of customized rings when I was born. When I turned 18, my mother gave me the rings. Baby, you're an adult now and can pursue the boy you like. When you have a boy you really like in the future, give him the other ring as your token of love. It's also a blessing from your father and me for your love. On the day I came of age, I couldn't wait to give the ring to Chin Henian. He let me put the ring on him. I told him the meaning of this ring, and he accepted it. I didn't call him little uncle because he simply didn't deserve it. After he left, I packed all my luggage and moved back to the dormitory. My parents were still abroad, and it was deserted to go home. 4. I started to integrate into college life. Gu Mian called me from a strange number. Jiayin, are you angry? I know Henian doesn't like you, and it's embarrassing for you that he didn't accept your initiative, but don't ignore me. Okay. Hearing this, I found it ridiculous. If you talk nonsense again, just wait for the court summons. This is slander. As soon as the words fell, a man's voice came from the other end of the phone. His voice was very low and deep. Song Jiayin, where's your upbringing? Who allowed you to talk to an elder like this? I suddenly laughed. What kind of elder is she? Chin Henian said, little aunt. How shameless. What right did she have to claim kinship with me? What did Chin Henian like about Gu Mian? Did he like her cold and self-righteous little white flower look? She had a pitiful background and raised her younger brother alone. In Chin Henian's eyes, she had a gambling father, a sick mother, and a poor her. I was a pampered and innocent daughter of a wealthy family. On the other end, Gu Mian said softly and weakly, Henian, don't say that, she'll be sad. I snorted, be careful that I sue both you and her. Suing one person is the same as suing two people. I was too lazy to argue with them. I hung up the phone and didn't hesitate to block this strange number. Lu Yuyu was the first friend I made in the dormitory. She knew my feelings for Chin Henian best, before I died in my previous life. I had already suffered from depression. If it weren't for Lu Yuyu, I'm afraid I would have left long ago. Now that I have a new life, I just want to cherish it. 5. Chin Henian really never went back to that villa again, and neither did I. On the weekend, I received an invitation to a banquet. At the banquet, except that I didn't pester Chin Henian as usual, everything was the same as before. When Chin Henian made an appearance, everyone's eyes turned to me and him. Many girls surrounded him. When everyone thought I would step forward to drive away the girls around him, I turned around and walked into the dance floor instead. When Chin Henian saw me turn around, his body froze slightly, and he retracted his gaze. Everyone looked at each other in astonishment, finding it inconceivable that I didn't follow behind Chin Henian. Later at the banquet, if it weren't for Shin Yueza, Chin Henian's brother, making a bet in the circle, I wouldn't have paid any attention to Chin Henian at all. Shin Yueza shouted with great interest, let's make a bet. How long can Miss Song be noble and not pester Brother Hen? I took a sip of the cocktail in my hand to moisten my throat, snatched the microphone from Shin Yueza's hand, and smiled sweetly. Then let me tell you, I, Song Jiayin, will never be with Chin Henian in this life. Also, don't mention me and Chin Henian together. Too much gossip will affect my love life. I'm Chin Henian's little niece. I, who had always been reluctant to call him uncle before, personally said that I was his niece. My gaze crossed the crowd and met Chin Henian's. His eyes suddenly contracted. I saw his expression flustered for a moment, and then it immediately turned calm. 6. Before, I openly pursued Chin Henian and drove away many of his potential partners. Now, many people were eager to approach him. I didn't look at him again and walked to the center of the dance floor. When I was having a great time, Chin Henian walked into the crowd and pulled me out. Gu Mian's tone was worried and anxious, and her eyes were misty. Jiayin, stop being petty. Henian and I are very worried about you. When Chin Henian looked at me, his expression was only indifferent and distant, and his tone was slightly warning. Song Jiayin, you're so old, don't be so childish. Do you think you can stimulate me by casually finding a man to dance with you? Now you're also 22 years old. Before, Mian Mian and I spoiled you too much, which made you have the guts to scheme against Mian Mian and me. In his heart, I had already been branded with the label of being shameless. I looked at his eyes and said firmly, little uncle, I've called the police about what happened last time. Don't throw dirt on me. I'm also a victim. I also have the right to question whether it was you who drugged me. Shin Yueza strolled slowly to our side. He covered his lower abdomen and laughed heartily as if he had heard the most ridiculous joke. After laughing for a while, he said, Jiayin, who doesn't know that you like Henian? Let me calculate, you've liked him for 6 years, he's always treated you like a child, and you like to throw yourself at him. Since I had such a passionate liking for Qin Henian, after this incident, everyone thought that I wanted to ruin my own reputation to threaten Qin Henian into marrying me. I pursed my lips and smiled. I did like him indeed, as you said. He treated me like a child. That was all because I was young and naive. My liking for him was only limited to the admiration for an elder, not romantic love. I looked at Qin Henian with a magnanimous gaze, and there was no love in my eyes anymore. Little uncle, am I right? I don't think anyone would like their own niece. 7. Qin Henian was stunned for a moment. Song Jian's eyes were calm, without a trace of softness or emotion. There was no longer the love she used to have, and she was overly magnanimous. Her eyes made him feel a bit flustered, hearing Song Jian trying her best to distance herself from him and repeatedly calling him little uncle. His heart inexplicably felt a sense of sinking. The busybodies around started to point and talk, speculating whether it was Song Jian who had drugged them. Someone said, Song Jian is probably playing hard to get. She drugged them and still wants to clear her name. Does she really think that just because she looks so confident, everyone will believe she didn't do it? Yeah, she used to like sticking to President Qin. How could she suddenly stop liking him? Dancing with other men in the dance floor is just to make President Qin jealous. Hearing these gossiping words, he felt a bit annoyed. Qin Henian's eyebrows furrowed slightly. When Song Jian was chatting merrily with several young men in the dance floor, he felt a bit displeased in his heart. She was willing to dance with strange men just to anger him. Qin Henian said coldly, Alright, Jian, show up in front of me less in the future. Even though I'm your little uncle, you should know the difference between men and women. 8. Hearing Qin Henian's words, I nodded. You're right, little uncle. Do you have to meddle in who I dance with? Aren't you being too nosy? I left without giving him any time to react. After the banquet, I went back to the dormitory. I also brought a box of Lu Yuyu's favorite pastries by the way. After washing up, I went to sleep. When I woke up, I saw an unanswered call. Living in the dormitory, I was used to turning on the do not disturb mode. There were also a bunch of messages popping up. Song Jian, you didn't go home last night. I accidentally answered an unknown number. The man's voice was as cold as if it had been quenched with ice. Song Jian, you didn't go home last night. Where did you go? I yawned slowly. Of course I was in the dormitory. He immediately heaved a sigh of relief, and then questioned me again. Did you post the black material about Mian Mian? She's your future little aunt. You'd better show her some respect. Delete those things on the internet immediately. I cursed under my breath that he was crazy. 9. After logging onto the software, I found a post in my tone and under my identity, secretly implying that Gu Mian had interfered in the relationship between Qin Henian and me. Immediately, someone in the comment section refuted for Gu Mian. Qin Henian has never liked that arrogant and unreasonable daughter of the Song family. He has always liked Gu Mian. If we're talking about being a mistress, you, Song Jian, are the mistress. Gu Mian was the school beauty of University A, voted by her alumni and netizens. She became popular overnight on the internet but didn't make money from the traffic, so everyone's impression of her got better and better. In my previous life, after I married Qin Henian, the online trend was in her favor. For a full 10 years, I lived under verbal attacks. I, the daughter of the Song family, became a mistress hated by everyone, loving my family, friend little uncle and snatching the lover of my neighbor big sister. Before the drugging incident, I had a very good relationship with Gu Mian. I always regarded her as my bosom sister. I met her when I was 12 years old. She was 18 that year and was working part-time at my home. My parents protected me very well. I was the only heir of the Song family. My parents didn't want me to be wronged as an older sister and never considered having a second child. I, who grew up in a utopia, was almost violated when I was 12 years old, which left me with a huge shadow. Just when I was extremely painful, Gu Mian appeared. She enlightened and comforted me like a big sister. She encouraged me to make friends and make pen pals on the internet. What Qin Henian didn't know was that I met him when I was 12 years old. He was like Gu Mian that year, a kind big brother and big sister in my growth, guiding me out of this shadow. When I was 16, I recognized Qin Henian the first time I saw him. I told Gu Mian about my liking for Qin Henian, but she was stunned for a moment and told me to bravely pursue the person I liked. She said that if you like someone, you should pursue them passionately. She taught me to drive away all the opposite sex around Chin Henian. She told me that if there were too many opposite sex around Chin Henian, maybe he wouldn't like me. I did as she said, and I became the hot-tempered daughter of the Song family in everyone's eyes. It wasn't until before I died, at Gu Mion's birthday party, that I found out that Chin Henian had always thought that the person he was chatting with back then was Gu Mion. Gu Mion knew that Chin Henian didn't like girls who were too proactive, so she deliberately guided me to make Chin Henian dislike me. But she didn't expect that Chin Henian would be particularly tolerant of me. The reason why Gu Mion and I fell into the sea together was also her doing. Chin Henian saw me, but he quickly made a choice and swam towards Gu Mion. I could swim, but I didn't want to swim anymore. I didn't make any self-rescue moves. Fortunately, God had mercy on me and gave me a second chance at life. I immediately retained the blockchain and traced the source address of the poster. When I saw that IP, a faint smile curved my lips. 10. The rumors and gossips related to Gu Mion on the internet were quickly removed. The account pretending to be me was also immediately cancelled. During this period, I completely cut off contact with Chin Henian. I learned from my friends in the circle with whom I had a good relationship that he had been taking Gu Mion to parties recently. My friend asked me if I had really let go, and I smiled and asked, otherwise. Suddenly, the other end of the phone became quiet. My friend said, Jane. He walked past me. He heard our conversation. Sorry, I chuckled. I'm serious. I don't like him anymore. 11. When Chin Henian heard the girl talking to Song Jian on the phone, he deliberately slowed down his pace. These days, Song Jian had completely disappeared from his side. The photos related to him and Song Jian's moments had been deleted, and it was set to be visible only for the last 3 days. The little girl who was like a little son, surrounding him and cheerfully driving away all the opposite sex around him, was gone, and he was a bit unaccustomed. After the banquet, he never saw Song Jian again. When he returned to the Chin family, the nanny told him, Miss Song, she hasn't come back for a long time. He stopped in his tracks, and his heart seemed to be sinking little by little. The nanny said cautiously, Miss Song might just be angry. Should Mr. Chin coax her, call her back. Yesterday, he also heard Shin Yueza say that he met Song Jian in the mall. Song Jian ordered a pair of couple rings that can only be purchased once with one ID card. Thinking of this, a faint smile curved Chin Henian's lips. No need, the little girl is just throwing a tantrum, she'll be back in a few days. He thought that since Song Jian was secretly preparing a gift for him, she would come back obediently in a few days. 12. Chin Henian's friends all thought that I would return to his side in a few days. He thought that my reluctance to return to the Chin family was deliberately playing petty, in order to get his attention. In his view, my estrangement from him meant that I hadn't completely let go. Therefore, in order to dispel my love for him, he arranged several blind date partners for me. On Chin Henian's birthday, my parents told me, Jian, Henian is at least half an elder to you. Take a gift to him for your father and me. Chin Henian was of the same generation as my parents but wasn't much older than me. I sent the gift my parents gave to Chin Henian to the reception desk of his company. I was absent from his birthday. I blocked one of his numbers, but he could still contact me with countless unknown numbers. He called me and asked in a deep voice, why didn't you come last night? I answered magnanimously, I had too many classes. Jian, stop being petty. This trick of yours won't work on me. I don't like you, and that's that. Move back to the Chin family soon. I have many nice friends. I'll introduce them to you another day. I smiled and asked him, blind date? He replied, not exactly, just let you get to know more people. Meet them first. If you don't like them, we'll talk about it later. I raised the corners of my lips. No need, little uncle. I have a boyfriend. I moved out of Chin Henian's villa and lived a carefree life on campus. As graduation was approaching, I began to regret that I had devoted all my attention to Chin Henian in the past and hadn't been able to fully enjoy campus life. When Lu Yuyu wasn't with me, I forgot to bring my meal card when I went to the cafeteria to get food. A pair of beautiful, fair hands with distinct knuckles held the meal card and paid for me. We added each other on WeChat and contacted frequently. His name was Chen Yubai, from the computer science department. Later, I found out that he was the one who helped me find the account that was pretending to be me and scolding Gu Mion. With his help, the broken surveillance at that time was restored. I also obtained more powerful evidence, so, Chen Yubai and I started our first relationship. 13. After hanging up the phone, Chin Henian was silent for a long time. He stood on the balcony until the middle of the night, the cigarette burned out. And he didn't even feel the spark burning his hand. Until Shin Yueza excitedly told him, "Brother Hen, Song Jiayin is in a relationship." A photo was sent to his phone. In the photo was Song Jiayin and a young boy. The girl in the photo was smiling brightly and beautifully, and the boy was high-spirited. They looked very well matched standing together, but he found it extremely. The corners of his eyes lifted, and a trace of hostility flashed in his eyes, seeing the ring on the boy's hand. He almost crushed the cup in his hand. His heart suddenly beat violently. No matter how much he told himself that there was nothing to be angry about, his heartbeat couldn't return to normal. Over the years, he had indeed developed feelings for Song Jiayin, but Gu Mian had saved his grandmother's life. His grandmother's last wish before she died was for him to marry her savior, so, he had always maintained extreme rationality. Plus, the pen pal he met when he was 18 turned out to be Gu Mian. He felt that he and Gu Mian were destined. He kept telling himself that the person he should marry was Gu Mian. He couldn't believe that the little girl who had chased him for 6 years had fallen in love with someone else so quickly. 14. Shin Yueza knew about my relationship and publicized it for me, so everyone in the whole circle knew about it. People in the circle started to guess how long I would be angry this time before returning to Chin Henian's side. They all thought that I wanted to use the way of dating someone else to attract Chin Henian's attention. Some people also thought that it was too naive for me to try to get Chin Henian's attention in this way, but I was seriously in a relationship. In the past, my world only had Chin Henian, but now he was long gone from my future plans. When I was trying on the graduation ceremony dress with Lu Yuyu, Chin Henian suddenly appeared in front of me. He had a blank expression and a sullen face. And he educated me in the manner of an elder. "Song Jiayin, in order to anger me, you casually date someone else. Do you understand what self-love is?" My body froze slightly, and I looked at him with a smile, without any emotion in my eyes. How am I not self-loving by being in a relationship? Chin Henian's eyes were deep. He stared at me and said, "Jiayin, you're young and can't tell right from wrong. You don't have a good eye for men either. When can I meet him?" I pursed my lips and smiled. "Thank you, but what should I call you? Little uncle." "You're right about one thing. My previous taste in men really wasn't good, but both my parents are only children. You're at most a good friend of my parents. So, in what capacity are you lecturing me? My boyfriend and I have a very good relationship. We've met each other's parents, so don't worry about it." He suddenly grabbed my arm, and his eyes became colder and colder. "You've met each other's parents?" I nodded. "Yeah, we met through a video call, which also counted as meeting." The man's voice volume increased, with anger. "Song Jiayin." His sudden shout of my name and his grip on my arm startled me. I saw his eyes suddenly turn red. "Do you really know the other person well enough to be together so easily? Since your parents entrusted me to take care of you, then I have to take care of you." I broke free from his restraint. "Chin Henian, mind your own business. Are you the police of the Pacific Ocean? Why are you so nosy?" Not long ago, in fact, Chin Yubai and I broke up peacefully because of different life plans. 15. I called Gu Mian, and Gu Mian rushed over quickly. She walked to Chin Henian's side and took his hand. "Henian, don't argue with Jiayin. Jiayin is young. Don't be angry with her." Chin Henian's eyes were deep and cold, staring straight at me, ignoring Gu Mian's words. Gu Mian turned around and took my hand, persuading me in the capacity of Chin Henian's lover. "Jiayin, apologize to your little uncle." I sneered. "The one who should apologize is you, Gu Mian. Chin Henian may be blind, but the surveillance isn't." The gentle and obedient Gu Mian in front of me suddenly changed. She darkened her face, changed her expression, and forcefully dragged me towards the pool beside us. I steadied myself and used all my strength to hold on to her. In an instant, Chin Henian also immediately changed his expression and stepped forward to grab us. 16. An image immediately flashed through his mind. Song Jiayin and Gu Mian fell into the water together, but he didn't hesitate to save Gu Mian. He saw Song Jiayin's eyes, which scared him. The color had drained from her eyes. There was no will to survive, and they were as dull as a stagnant pool. When Song Jiayin was rescued, her face was deathly pale and her lips had lost their color. No matter how much he shouted or gave her artificial respiration, she refused to open her eyes. She lay in the ICU with an oxygen tube inserted, and the doctor pronounced her dead. He knelt in front of the hospital bed, crying hoarsely and shouting desperately, "Song Jiayin, I was wrong. Please open your eyes and look at me." "Okay, when she was covered with a white cloth. He tried to hold her tightly, but he couldn't hold her no matter what. He lost all his strength and couldn't get up. Kneeling on the spot, Song Jiayin died, and he lived in a daze. The moment he pulled her back felt like an eternity. Seeing that she hadn't fallen into the water, Qin Henian took a sharp breath and trembled all over. 17. Fortunately, the pool wasn't deep, but for someone who died in the water in the previous life, I was terrified no matter how deep or shallow it was. A hint of darkness flashed in Qin Henian's eyes, and his expression was extremely cold. Gu Mian gently explained, biting her lips, looking frightened, and said, Henian, Jiayin didn't mean it. I crossed my arms and watched her, waiting to see how she would argue. Seeing that she couldn't pull me into the water, she tried to slander me. Gu Mian, there are surveillance cameras everywhere here. Lu Yuyu called the police for me at this time. With my sufficient evidence, Gu Mian would surely be punished as she deserved. Qin Henian may be blind and not distinguish right from wrong, but the surveillance cameras are high definition. Qin Henian's face suddenly changed, and he looked at me helplessly. Jiayin, soon, the police arrived. Gu Mian was arrested, and she argued, Song Jiayin, you framed me. She cried pitifully to Qin Henian, Henian, save me. Gu Mian originally wanted to drug Qin Henian. Originally, she planned to have a relationship with Qin Henian and then frame me for drugging him. The glass of wine that she was supposed to drink was accidentally drunk by me. Gu Mian laughed and then cried. She said, everyone knows you're in love with Qin Henian. Even if you were drugged, others would just think you're shameless and willing to ruin your own reputation to marry him. Qin Henian's expression was unpleasant, and he growled, you're so vicious. After learning about everything, Qin Henian was completely stunned. 18. Qin Henian had a dream last night. In the dream, when they were drugged, he had a relationship with Song Jiayin and was forced to marry her. After marriage, he treated her very badly. Song Jiayin and Gu Mian fell into the water together, but he saved Gu Mian. In the dream, they were married for 10 years, and Song Jiayin drowned. After hearing the police's statement, he understood everything. Song Jiayin had been reborn, so Song Jiayin really didn't love him anymore. That's why she didn't hesitate to cut her wrist when they were locked in the same room. She loved beauty the most, but in order to stay awake, she almost scratched her own face. It can be seen how desperate she was. 19. Qin Henian suddenly hugged me, and I pushed him away forcefully. The corners of his eyes were moist with tears. Jiayin, I'm sorry. I saw the guilt and heartache in his eyes. Qin Henian, we're both victims. There's no question of who's sorry to whom. A hot teardrop landed on my hand. He lowered his eyes, with endless desolation in his eyes. That's not what I meant. Jiayin, did you know it all along? That's why on the day we were locked in a room, you didn't hesitate to hurt yourself to prove your innocence. You were reborn, right? I was taken aback. I didn't expect him to know. I nodded. That's right, he said. I dreamed about it. The person who has been my pen pal is you, and the one who saved my grandmother is also you. Gu Mian took your place. The dream was so real that it scared me. But I never thought that this actually happened. I was wrong. Jiayin, I love you. Hearing his apology and confession, my heart was no longer stirred. Qin Henian, I can swim. I didn't make a sound when I fell into the water because I lost the will to live. I was diagnosed with severe mental illness that day. You held a grand birthday party for Gu Mian, and I had already become the laughingstock of the whole city. Just thinking that I just liked you but sacrificed my whole life makes me feel suffocated. And I feel that life is not worth living. I liked you, but I'm not so morally corrupt as to drug you to get what I want. I, Song Jiayin, have always been open and aboveboard in pursuing you. If you hadn't accepted the ring that my parents gave for my future husband, I wouldn't have misunderstood that you had some romantic feelings for me too. After marrying you, I never had a good day. No one believed me. No matter how much I explained, it was useless. The whole world believed that I was interfering in your relationship with Gu Mian. So, when I went back to that day before anything happened, I was extremely grateful and wanted to cry with joy. I will never want to marry you in this life. He lost his strength and knelt on the ground. His eyes gradually turned red. Looking at me, there was regret and guilt in his eyes. He broke down and cried out loud in the crowded place. What do I have to do for you to forgive me? I said slowly. With a sneer, you can issue a statement telling everyone that it was you, Qin Henian, and Gu Mian who jointly drugged me, and that you had improper thoughts about me. Do you dare? Once such a statement is issued, the stock of the Qin family will plummet, and he, Qin Henian, will become an object of universal condemnation. I want him to taste all the bitterness I endured in my previous life. Qin Henian nodded desperately and begged on his knees, I'm willing, please don't leave me, okay? I shook off his hand. 20. The person who almost violated me 10 years ago was found. It was Gu Mian's younger brother. The reason why Gu Mian came to my home to work part-time was also because of her guilt, but unexpectedly, she encouraged me to make pen pals, and then she herself fell in love with my pen pal, Qin Henian. Out of selfishness, she deliberately made me pursue Qin Henian vigorously, hoping that he would dislike me. My parents immediately flew back to the country. They hugged me and cried guiltily. I didn't want to make them sad. Gu Mian and her younger brother, Gu Yi, were sent to prison. Gu Yi had still committed many evil deeds during these 10 years. With a series of crimes, he was sentenced to 20 years. Both siblings provided proof of hereditary mental illness. Gu Mian thought she could get away with it. Through the iron bars of the prison window, a strange smile appeared on her lips. I also looked at her and smiled faintly. They were sent to a mental hospital and received special care. Qin Henian felt guilty towards me. He asked someone to give Gu Mian and Gu Yi special attention. Compared to prison, this place was even more terrifying. They were mentally tortured. They were not allowed to sleep for 7 days and 7 nights. Once they closed their eyes, they would be splashed with water. They were so sleepy but couldn't sleep, and they were tortured until they lost their minds. Gu Mian shouted loudly, I'm not sick, let me out. There was no trace of pity in Qin Henian's eyes, only fierceness. A mental patient never admits that they're sick. Gu Yi let out a loud roar. The sound was tragic. 21. Jiayin, this is not love. He was criticized by everyone. The people in the circle who originally sneered at me now looked at Qin Henian with prejudice, amidst the rumors and gossip. Qin Henian finally understood the pain and despair I felt in my previous life when I clearly didn't do something but was accused of doing it. 22. Not long after, Qin Henian was diagnosed with an illness. He was tormented by illness and guilt. On the phone, he begged me to see him. My tone was cold. I don't like you. I feel sick when I see you. His voice was weak and hoarse. Will you marry that boy? I smiled and said, Little uncle, at your age, don't even think about chasing after a young girl. There are so many young and handsome guys. Why would I like someone like you? Qin Henian's tone was tinged with crying. Jiayin, please don't call me that. I'm not your little uncle. I was wrong. Before getting an answer, he spat out blood. He didn't know that I had already broken up, but I'm not going to tell him because my relationship has nothing to do with him. Leaving him with regret and pain is the most torturous. 23. After hearing Song Jiayin's words, Qin Henian's heart ached so much that it went numb. Just thinking that she would be with someone else made him feel so suffocated that he couldn't breathe. Thinking about the 10-year-long torment she endured, crying day after day, and the calm eyes without any will to survive before drowning, he felt scared and uncomfortable. He became a vegetable and could only lie in the hospital bed. So it was because she was so painful in her previous life that she could unhesitatingly hurt herself and avoid him. He had never realized this before and thought it was just her being petty. Story 2. I died in the first year of my marriage to Lin Zissen. During a fire, I texted him, Zissen, the house is on fire. He replied coldly, put out the fire yourself, I'm in a meeting. I grimaced as I looked at a photo a woman had just sent me. Heartbroken, I died in the flames. But fate allowed me to be reborn 10 years earlier. When the new student Lin Zissen was assigned to sit next to me, I raised my hand. Teacher, I'd like to sit with another girl. 1. Teacher, I'd like to sit with another girl, I said as the homeroom teacher assigned Lin Zissen's seat next to mine. My request sparked whispers among the classmates. The homeroom teacher tapped on the desk for silence before asking, why? Because in the first year after marrying me, Lin Zissen let me die in a fire for another woman. Yes, I was reborn on the day I met Lin Zissen, 10 years ago. When Lin Zissen became my deskmate, I was as smitten as any other girl in the class. From then on, I embarked on a long pursuit of him, wishing I could pluck the stars from the sky for him. But it all ended in such a tragic death. In this new life, I'm determined to stay far away from him, because I want to focus on my studies, and he's too handsome, I might get distracted. I stated firmly. The teacher, taken aback by my blunt reasoning, paused for a moment. Eventually, she changed my seat. Good use of reverse psychology, my new deskmate Guchinnan commented as he tossed his bag onto the desk next to mine and raised an eyebrow at me. I tried hard to recall information about him. I vaguely remembered he was an athlete and rarely attended classes. What reverse psychology? Guchinnan sat down next to me, tilting his head towards Lindsayson, who was surrounded by girls. You like that guy? I was stunned, and followed his gaze. Lindsayson sat at his desk, his back in a white shirt ramrod straight, still the way I used to like. I don't like him. I hurriedly averted my gaze and started to organize the books on my desk. Guchinnan suddenly turned his head and leaned in close. He stared at me for a long time, and just as I frowned, he said, "You're lying. The eyes of someone in love cannot lie." Too. Guchinnan was right. I still liked Lindsayson. I knew at the moment I saw him standing at the podium, but that was just a decade of lingering affection, a residual impulse. I love myself more. Guchinnan was indeed an athlete, attending only a couple of classes a day, often leaving me alone. This actually helped fulfill what I said on the first day of school, allowing me to seriously focus on my studies and gradually fade my feelings and attention towards Lindsayson. After a semester, my grades climbed to second place, right behind Lindsayson. Suddenly, I became the talk of the class, seen as the one who matched Lindsayson best. What are you afraid of? She doesn't even like Lindsayson. Their classmates say they can't stand each other. I overheard in the restroom during a break. A soft sobbing came from the next stall. The speaker continued, "Don't worry, you're so pretty. Lindsayson will like you eventually, truly gentle and considerate. Besides, I heard that Song Jia likes Guchinnan." The sobbing stopped abruptly. And a soft female voice asked, Really, you wouldn't believe it, right? Even someone like Guchinnan has admirers." I couldn't take it anymore, so I pulled up my pants and stood up. "I indeed dislike Lindsayson," I said as I kicked open the door to the next room and announced to the two startled people inside, "But I'm not fond of Guchinnan either." They were too frightened by my outburst to speak. I turned to leave, then paused, adding, "Also, Guchinnan isn't the person you think he is. He's 10,000 times better than Lindsayson." After saying that, I left the bathroom without looking back. When I returned to the classroom, I saw Guchinnan, who wasn't there earlier, already seated. He twirled his pen and raised an eyebrow at me. "Hey, who has upset you?" I just shook my head. At least, this version of him wouldn't just stand by and watch me die in a fire. 3. Lindsayson and I, both excelling in academics and blessed with good looks, were chosen as school representatives to participate in a speech competition in the city. Throughout the trip, I avoided being alone with him. It wasn't until backstage at the competition that he approached me from behind and asked in a low voice, "I've always wondered, why do you dislike me so much?" I didn't expect him to initiate conversation with me. "Song Jia." He called my name when I remained silent. This was the first time I had heard him say my name since I was reborn. It sounded really nice. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and then turned to look at him. I dislike people who are both attractive and academically successful. He was taken aback for a moment, then suddenly burst into laughter. "That reason doesn't hold up," he said, still smiling. "You're just like that yourself, and nobody hates themselves." In my previous life, he had never looked at me and smiled like that. Not even at our wedding, and he was wrong. Some people do hate themselves. Next up, we have Song Jia from 2nd Middle School for her speech. The announcer called out before I could say anything more. I straightened my back, took the microphone, and walked onto the stage. Luckily, I quite like who I am now. In the past, I always followed Lindsayson and never stood on such a big stage. Having lived again, I've realized that besides Lindsayson, there are many more things worth pursuing. Isn't this my deskmate? As soon as I exited the venue, I ran into Guchinnan. He glanced at Lindsayson behind me, then gave me a meaningful look. "What are you doing here?" I hurriedly pulled him away to prevent him from making any inappropriate comments. While I dragged him along, he looked back at Lindsayson reaching out to us and teasingly asked, feeling guilty. I rolled my eyes at him. "Guilty, my foot. It's good that you're here. I don't want to go back with Lindsayson." 4. Guchinnan is on the swimming team, sitting in the vast stadium. I watched him compete for the first time, dressed in his swimsuit. He stood on the diving platform and looked over at me from afar. I could almost see his mischievous expression, and at the sound of the starter gun, he dived into the water. At that moment, I realized he might even be more handsome than Lindsayson. What's more, he had the muscles that Lindsayson lacked. Only 17, and already so well built. My mind wandered through all sorts of thoughts, and by the time I snapped back to reality, Gu Qiannan had already reached the finish line first. He cheekily waved at me. Yep, he's indeed 10,000 times better than Lin Zisun. After my speech, I hurried off to watch Gu Qiannan's match, and the news that I returned to school with him spread quickly. Lin Zisun's fangirls seemed to be less hostile towards me as time passed, but I forgot, Gu Qiannan was no pushover either. Are you Song Jia? I was blocked on my way home from school. The group in front of me was dressed like delinquents. I blatantly lied. I'm not. The leader of the group turned and asked another girl, are we mistaken? While they were still discussing, Lin Zisun not far away called out to me, Song Jia, he's crazy, he really is crazy, as if it wasn't enough for him to have caused my death in a past life, now he's here again. The lead girl scoffed, trying to fool me. She took 2 steps towards me. I stepped back. Lin Zisun then noticed something was wrong and walked over to me. What are you doing? He said in a light rebuke. Great. Isn't this just going to provoke them more? The lead girl glanced back at him and raised an eyebrow. Oh, a knight in shining armor. What a joke. A knight in shining armor. Soon, Lin Zisun and I were cornered against a wall. What do you want? Just when I thought we were about to get beaten up, a rogue voice came from above. I looked up to see Gu Qiannan jumping down from the wall. Qiannan. The lead girl seemed a bit embarrassed. Gu Qiannan glanced at her. You know I don't hit girls. That's why many girls at school didn't like Gu Qiannan. He was a fighter, a delinquent, in a key high school. That's not exactly something to be proud of. If you treat my classmate like this again. Gu Qiannan slung his backpack over his shoulder and walked towards me. I can't guarantee what will happen next time. Upon hearing this, the group didn't dare to say another word and dispersed. Look at that. Now that's what I call a knight in shining armor. 5, after all. I did save you. Aren't you going to thank me? Gu Qiannan was casually walking behind me with a bag slung over one shoulder, sounding a bit displeased. His displeasure wasn't directed at me. I turned around to see him and Lin Zisun both stop in their tracks. Lin Zisun's slightly furrowed brow also showed his displeasure. I knew him well. He never liked thugs like Gu Qiannan, but that didn't concern me anymore. Gu Qiannan, thank you for today. I picked up the conversation directed at Lin Zisun. I need to get home early, so I'll be going now. Both men turned to look at me when they heard my words. I'll walk you home. They almost said it in unison. Song Jia. This is the certificate from the speech contest. Lin Zisun slightly frowned as he glanced at Gu Qiannan before handing me the certificate. Just in case someone else tries to trouble you, let me escort you home. I took the certificate, and before I could say no need, I heard Gu Qiannan scoff. He quickly walked up to my side and slung his arm around my shoulder. Maybe our class president should focus on protecting himself. After saying that, he cheekily winked at me. Come on, let this big guy protect you. His teasing finally made me laugh. I elbowed him in the stomach, broke free, and started walking home, waving at him over my shoulder. No need, I'm not some delicate queen, I've got plenty of tricks and strength. Gu Qiannan's laughter boomed behind me. Perhaps influenced by his laughter, I found myself smiling too. The disgust and irritation caused by Lin Zisun's proximity earlier had evaporated. Maybe being a little thug isn't so bad. I used to be misled by Lin Zisun. 6. I woke up suddenly to find a huge fire had broken out at home. Panicked, I jumped out of bed to run, but found the front door blocked by flames. In the end, I had to take a wet towel and hide on the balcony. Unexpectedly, I had just hung up the phone with emergency services when I received a message. It was a photo of Lin Zisun with a disheveled woman. Staring at the photo on my phone, my blood seemed to freeze, and a wave of fear washed over me as if doused by a bucket of ice water. Zisun. There's a fire at home. I messaged Lin Zisun, who wasn't supposed to be at work today, since he didn't like it when I called him at work. I had never phoned him. Even now, I instinctively sent a message. It took a while before I received a reply. You handle the fire. I'm in a meeting. A meeting? I looked at the photo on my phone and couldn't help but laugh bitterly. The fire seemed to rush towards me, and in the distance, I could faintly hear the sound of fire truck sirens. Suddenly, someone opened the door from outside. A beam of bright light shone in. Song Jia, you'll be late if you don't get up now. As soon as I opened my eyes, I saw my mom standing by the bed, looking helpless, still shaken by the emotions from my dream. I sat up and hugged her tightly. Mom, I had a nightmare, a truly terrifying one. My mom gently patted my back. Sleeping in leads to nightmares. Who told you to oversleep, Mom? I'm not a kid anymore. Oh dear, you're not easy to fool anymore. I burst into laughter. Thankfully, that scene was just a dream. With my mom's interruption, I felt much better, obediently got out of bed, washed up, ate breakfast, and left for school. But I didn't expect to see Gu Chinnan right outside the gates of my community. Gu Chinnan casually spit out his bubble gum and waved at me. What a coincidence, you live in this community. I nodded and continued walking. Do you live here too? He shook his head, slowly following behind me. I live ahead, just passing by. Linzason is sick, no joke. Song Jia, do you know how to solve this problem? During a break, Linzason suddenly approached my desk. It startled me. The dream from last night was still vivid in my mind, and I didn't want to see him again. My hands continued to work on the problems as I replied indifferently. No, how do you know you don't if you haven't looked? He never used to be like this. I stopped writing, reluctantly glanced at the problem in his hand. Oh. It was the problem I had just solved. No, I said calmly, turning the page of my workbook. After Linzason left, I turned my head to see Gu Chinnan, who was propped up on the desk, smiling. The sunlight from the window fell on his smiling eyes. He had a completely different personality and charm compared to Linzason, vibrant. What are you laughing at? I asked him. He blinked. I just think your strategy of playing hard to get is quite clever. It hasn't even been a year. And he's already running back to you. I grabbed my workbook and smacked it on his head. If you dare talk nonsense again, I'll tear your mouth apart, I threatened fiercely, waving my fist at him. But this only elicited unrestrained laughter from him. His laughter was loud enough to draw the attention of the entire class towards us. In a panic, I rushed over to cover his mouth. Only when he stopped laughing did I realize my mistake and quickly let go, but he suddenly leaned in close, staring intently into my eyes. Just as I was about to punch him in the face, he laid back down on the desk, still laughing. Yeah, I wasn't lying this time. It seems that I really don't like him anymore. I haven't liked him for a long time now. The affection I had for 10 years vanished at the moment of my rebirth, leaving behind only a habitual flutter of the heart. And even that insignificant flutter had long since dissipated in recurring nightmares. Now, I just want to keep my distance from him, as far as possible. Ideally, after the college entrance exams, I hope we never meet again. Do you want to go to S-City? Gu Chinnan walked beside me, somewhat surprised by my response. Why? Because I like it. In my past life, to follow Linzason to B-City, I didn't even consider applying to any university in S-City. Because I like it, I said. Looking at our shadows under the streetlight, I heard it's a place of freedom. Gu Chinnan is tall, but the streetlight somehow shrank his shadow into a small blob. It was kind of funny. Yeah, S-City is nice. He kicked a pebble by his foot. His voice seemed to carry a happiness I couldn't quite place. When we reached the entrance of my neighborhood, I said goodbye to him and then asked, "Do you really live up ahead?" He was momentarily taken aback, then nonchalantly replied, "Yeah, do you want to come over and hang out?" "No," I said, quickly walking away while clutching my backpack. Later, I thought about it carefully. The reason I never ran into him on the street in my past life was probably that I was too busy following Linzason around, not paying attention to anyone else, not to mention Gu Chinnan, whom Linzason least favored. It wasn't long after I started going to and from school with Gu Chinnan that the term ended. In the new term of senior year 3, it was time to change seats again. Linzason and Gu Chinnan switched places, the teacher said casually from the podium. I was startled from my exercises. Gu Chinnan immediately raised his hand. I don't want to switch. He was used to being carefree and often skipped class, so the teachers didn't really favor him. The teacher frowned and asked displeased, "Why not?" "I like the sunshine," Gu Chinnan said as he opened the window. The sunlight outside was just right, falling on him, making him look particularly striking. Linzason, sitting on the other side, also looked over at me from afar, as if he was determined to get Gu Chinnan's spot. I raised my hand and said, "Teacher, the class president has good grades and many students ask him questions during breaks. I'm worried it might affect other students as well as both our studies." The implication was that Linzason being seated alone was the best option for him to shine on his own. The teacher thought about it and agreed that I had a point. However, in the end, she decided to swap the seats of Gu Chinnan and the girl sitting behind him. Gu Chinnan was pleased with the outcome and squinted at me playfully after adjusting his desk. "As long as you're not sitting with Linzason, it doesn't matter who you sit with." 9. The studies in senior year were intense. Even though it was my second time experiencing this, I occasionally felt overwhelmed. Gu Chinnan's training sessions were becoming more frequent, reducing his time in the classroom. Yet, Discussions about him only increased. Girls who initially didn't think much of Gu Chennan started changing their opinions as he continued to win competitions one after another. Other than not being great at studies or having a good temperament, he hardly has any flaws. My new deskmate Baikura remarked during a gossip session about him. I continued working on my problems but added, his temperament is quite good, actually. Baikura didn't expect me to engage in the gossip and leaned in closer, surprised. I also heard that you like him, is that true? That rumor was so old. I stopped writing, looked at her somewhat helplessly, and said, that's not true, how could I possibly like him? Don't listen to their nonsense. As soon as I finished speaking, a bottle of water was placed at the corner of my desk. I turned around to see Gu Chennan, his forehead slightly sweaty. It was a bit awkward. After a few seconds of eye contact, I looked down at the water at the corner of the desk. How much for the water? I'll pay you. Gu Chennan seemed upset. He didn't take the money for the water and stopped talking to me. After he slept on the desk for a class period, Linzason came over. Linzason placed a form on my desk and softly said, the teacher wants you to participate in this competition to secure a nomination for direct admission. It was hard not to be excited by the word nomination. I took the form without asking any questions, only to realize that I would be participating in the competition with Linzason. Would you not participate just because I'm also involved? He asked me during the prep class, sitting next to me. I glanced at him. By now, I could look at him calmly. Why would I not? I politely shifted away. The nomination is very important. More important than you are. I'm not sure if my movement was too obvious or my words too cold, but Linzason's smile stiffened for a moment. I ignored him and started preparing for the class. When I looked up after finishing my work at the end of the class, I saw Gu Chennan standing outside the classroom. He had changed a lot, and many girls were approaching him to chat. Do you like someone like that? Seeing me looking at Gu Chennan outside, Linzason, sitting next to me, also looked over. His voice was indifferent. I turned back to him and firmly replied, I just don't like someone like you. 10. Why are you here? I asked Gu Chennan, walking beside me. Surely you're not just passing by again. He patted my head and said, next to us is the gym, didn't you know? I instinctively looked back, and indeed it was a gym. Do you train at this time every day? I asked, as I had come to the training class after school and it was already late. What? You think championships are easy to win? His casual tone made it seem like winning was effortless for him. I nodded with a smile. All right. Do I have the honor of treating the champion to some dumplings as a way to atone for my sins during the day? Dumplings. I nodded towards a small stall by the roadside. Gu Chennan glanced over at the wonton stand, his eyes and brows curving slightly. Then I'll give you this chance to be the champion. But before the wontons were served, a woman arrived. She wore delicate makeup, a long red dress, and high heels as she stood across from Gu Chennan. Her voice was soft and gentle. Gu Chennan looked up at her, and the smile on his lips disappeared instantly. The woman looked vaguely familiar, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't recall who she was. I looked at the bowl of wontons that was meant for Gu Chennan in front of me and sighed. It seems my sins are too deep. I can't even offer a bowl of wontons. Since that night Gu Chennan left with that woman, I hadn't seen him for several days. The next time I saw him was at the entrance to my apartment complex. He stood there alone, a stark contrast to his usual vibrant self. Gu Chennan, I called out to him. He looked up at me, a spark finally lighting up his indifferent eyes. I thought you had been kidnapped or something. Not seeing you for so long. I tried to lighten the mood with a joke, which seemed to work. He slightly curved his lips and playfully smacked my head. Can't you think better of me? 11. Gu Chennan was injured. I pointed at a small piece of gauze showing on his leg. What happened here? He looked down at his leg and tugged at his pant leg. It might have touched the wound because he inhaled sharply through his teeth, but still stubbornly said, it's nothing. How did you end up like this after just a few days? I lifted his pant leg, frowning at the bandaged wound. He caught my hand and chuckled softly. I looked up at him, puzzled, but he leaned down. His face was very close to mine, so close that his breath made my entire face heat up. You care about me this much? He teased, his brows arching playfully as his lips curved into a cocky smile. You haven't fallen for me, have you? I was startled. Well, what? I pulled away from his grasp and quickly stood up from the chair. What are you talking about? Songjia. He looked up at me, his eyes not like those of the man who had been waiting at the apartment entrance but rather as if they contained all the stars in the sky, twinkling brightly. I've told you, the eyes don't lie. overwhelmed. I turned away instinctively. Gu Chainan, if you dare spout nonsense, I'll tear your mouth apart, I threatened fiercely without turning back and ran home. Gu Chainan never held back, always speaking recklessly. I should have been used to it by now, not reacting so strongly like today. With that thought, I turned over in bed, deciding not to dwell on it anymore. Yes, I couldn't sleep, all because of that jerk Gu Chainan, always spouting nonsense. With dark circles under my eyes, I watched Gu Chainan waiting at the apartment entrance. He seemed in a particularly good mood, waving at me. Good morning, what a joke. I ignored him and continued walking. Since his leg was injured, he couldn't go to training and had to stay in the classroom for the time being. Now, the girls in the class were divided into two groups, one group gathered around Linzison, and the other around Gu Chainan. I was just about to massage my temples when I heard Gu Chainan's impatient voice. I want to sleep, so keep it down. At least he handled it better than Linzison. I pursed my lips, feeling somewhat pleased. 12. The competition results came out quickly. Linzison continued his streak as the top scorer, with me right behind him. Our teacher was very pleased and wanted to treat the two of us to a meal. Initially, I thought of declining, but clutching the trophy in my hand, I ended up agreeing. Song Jia. As soon as I entered the restaurant, Linzison waved at me. I sighed and walked in slowly. Has the teacher not arrived yet? I sat down across from Linzison. He thoughtfully poured me a glass of water. Something might have held him up. I nodded, then I leisurely poured the water he gave me from my glass into a bowl, rinsed the bowl, and then the chopsticks. Could you dispose of this for me? Thank you. I politely stopped a waiter and handed over the bowl of water. The water Linzison poured for me. I feared it would bring bad luck. Seeing my actions, he didn't get upset and casually rinsed his own bowl and chopsticks too. True to his rank as number one, he never lets himself get embarrassed. Now that the direct admission is successful, we can continue to be at the same school, Linzison said while rinsing his bowl. I was stunned. In my past life, I would have been overjoyed to the point of waking up laughing from dreams. Unfortunately, I only managed to get into a school not too far from him. Can we only get direct admission to one college? I asked with a smile. Then I might try taking the entrance exams. The impact of my words seemed to stiffen his expression. Pretending not to notice his discomfort, I glanced down at my watch. It's been a while. If the teacher doesn't show up, I might leave first. After saying this, I picked up my backpack and left. Just a few steps out of the restaurant, Linzison caught up to me. I don't understand. He sounded frustrated. What exactly do you dislike about me? I turned to look at him. Under the streetlight, he didn't seem so superior anymore. His gesture of holding me felt just like the countless times I had reached out to him. Linzison, I pulled away from his grasp, asking him, you don't have feelings for me, do you? 13. I always said Linzison was problematic. In my past life, I was always trailing behind him, willing to pluck stars from the sky for him, yet he wouldn't spare me a second glance. Now that I can barely stand to look at him, he seems to have developed feelings for me. He really is sick. During PE, sitting beside me was Gu Chainan, also sidelined due to an injury. I turned to look at him, and he pointed at Linzison running on the track. Look at him, running so listlessly. He must be weak. I spat out the water I was drinking. Why do you hate him so much? I screwed the cap back on the bottle and asked Gu Chainan. It seemed like from the beginning, his hostility towards Linzison was quite significant. I remember in my past life they barely interacted at all. Gu Chainan glanced at me, stood up from the steps, and walked in the opposite direction while dusting off his hands, because he deserves to be disliked. His reply was as good as saying nothing. PE wasn't over yet when Bakir came and sat next to me. Did you hear? Something big happened. She sat down and immediately started gossiping. Ever since she started sitting beside me, I became well versed in the class gossip. What happened? Chu Tianhuai's mother went to the principal's office. I frowned. Chu Tianhuai. Who's that? It sounded familiar. Don't you remember? He's the senior 2 grades above us, very rich, gets picked up by luxury cars every day. I had a vague recollection. There seemed to be such a person in my high school memories. I had only glimpsed him from afar back in my first year of high school. Why is his mom at the school after over a year since we graduated? Baikouer glanced around, then leaned in and whispered. I just passed by the principal's office and overheard them saying that Gu Chainan is Chu Tianhuai's father's illegitimate son. Chu Tianhuai's mother is causing a scene with the principal, demanding that Gu Chainan be expelled. How could this be? I widened my eyes and looked at Baikouer. Are you sure you heard right? Absolutely certain. Suddenly, I recalled the enchanting woman who was with Gu Qiannan that day, then it struck me. Despite Gu Qiannan's remarkable swimming talent, no one seemed to mention any awards he might have won in competitions. What exactly happened to Gu Qiannan in the past? 14. The news that Gu Qiannan was an illegitimate child spread rapidly. When I heard our classmates discussing it, I immediately looked at Baikur. She shook her head. I only told you. I looked worriedly towards Gu Qiannan's usual spot. It was empty. He must have heard the disgraceful rumors too. Song Jia, could you grab something for me? Just as I was about to look for Gu Qiannan, the chemistry teacher at the door called out to me. The chemistry lab was in another building, and as I entered, the bell for the start of class rang. I thought I'd have to wait until after class to look for Gu Qiannan while I searched for the teaching materials the chemistry teacher needed. Suddenly, there was a snap behind me. When I turned around, I saw a small flame had ignited nearby. Ever since that big fire, I've been unable to face flames. I even keep my distance from the gas stove at home. Now, seeing the flame growing stronger, my legs gave way, and I collapsed on the floor. People, help, save me. I trembled all over, crying and calling for help, as the fire grew larger. Just when I thought I might unluckily die in a fire again, someone suddenly rushed in. Song Jia, it was Gu Qiannan. Save me. I sobbed breathlessly. Gu Qiannan ran to my side, draping his soaked jacket over me and firmly covering my eyes with his hand. The overwhelming fire was instantly replaced by endless darkness. It's okay. Gu Qiannan's voice was low and hoarse, as if he was very scared. I'm here, with you. I'll get you out. It felt like grabbing a lifeline in the darkness. I clung tightly to him. It seemed like many people arrived, and the noise around us grew. Gu Qiannan held me as we walked out, and it felt like a long time before I heard Linzison, panting, ask, Song Jia, how are you? Hearing his voice, I felt as if I was still in that sea of fire. A wave of dizziness hit me. Before I fainted, I heard Gu Qiannan's cold voice. Stay away from her. 15. They say being burned alive is the most painful death. I crouched in a corner of the balcony, watching the flames rushing towards me, filled with endless fear. Save me, save me. After I don't know how many cries for help, suddenly someone rushed through the flames. It was 17-year-old Gu Qiannan. He wrapped me tightly with his soaked jacket. Don't be afraid, Song Jia, he held me, soothing me gently. I'm here now, with you. The raging fire seemed to slowly recede. The jacket made me shiver from the cold. Dr. Yi, is she alright? In a daze, I heard Gu Qiannan's voice. She's just shocked. She'll be fine once she wakes up. The doctor's voice sounded distant. You should worry about yourself for now. The principal is under a lot of pressure. After the doctor left, I finally opened my eyes. Gu Qiannan was standing by my bed, his clothes marked by burns. His face was unevenly marked with patches of white and black. Are you awake? His furrowed brows relaxed as he saw me opening my eyes. I nodded and glanced towards the door, asking him, is the principal going to expel you? He paused for a moment, his eyes dropping slightly. You heard about it too. He forced a wry smile, his tone tinged with self-mockery. Was that woman your mother that day? Yes, just as I had guessed. But that woman seemed vaguely familiar, as if I had seen her somewhere before. Song Jia, he suddenly looked up at me. I'm an illegitimate child. I was taken aback by his bluntness. So what? I looked back at him. It's not your fault, whether it's your mom's or your dad's mistake. None of it is your fault. Let the adults handle their issues. You just focus on growing up and strive to become an adult who doesn't make mistakes. I wasn't sure if it was the brightness of the infirmary's lights, but Gu Qiannan's eyes seemed particularly luminous. He reached out and ruffled my hair. Okay, the major fire in the laboratory, along with Gu Qiannan's background, had become a hot topic at school. What escalated this buzz was the appearance of Gu Qiannan's strikingly beautiful mother at the school. I'm not sure what she said to the principal, but he looked strained as he led her into his office, yet he was all smiles when he escorted her out. After leaving the principal's office, she didn't leave the school but stood outside our classroom for a long time. I sighed as I looked at the empty space where Gu Qiannan usually sat. She probably wouldn't see him today, unexpectedly. She stopped me on the way home from school. Song Jia, she waved at me with a smile. I hesitated for a moment but walked towards her. Auntie, she gave me a smile that curved her eyes. In this, Gu Qiannan did resemble her. You've grown so much. I hadn't expected such a start. You were only this tall back then. She gestured in the air. You were about 6 years old, and now you've grown into a young lady. She went on talking by herself, based on her words. I tried hard to recall my 6-year-old self. It seemed like a distant memory, but I managed to catch a glimpse of a clue. Auntie Goo, I tentatively called out. She smiled and patted my head, confirming it. The year I was 6, a mother and son moved next door, but they stayed for less than half a year. I had long forgotten them in the river of memories. Turns out, that mother and son were Gu Chennan and his mother. Tell Chennan not to worry about the school matter. I've already taken care of it. Perhaps this was her real reason for approaching me. I nodded. Why don't you tell him yourself? She paused. Hasn't Chennan told you? She touched her belly. I'm married now, and Chennan hasn't wanted to have anything to do with me for years. The identity of an illegitimate child, a mother remarried and pregnant. How could Gu Chennan still manage to appear so vibrant, seemingly thriving on the surface? Gu Chennan. I found him in a park not far from my home, where I hadn't seen him for days. He was squatting under a bridge, a partly smoked cigarette still between his fingers. The dim streetlight cast a sorrowful shadow over him, making him look incredibly pitiable. Perhaps this was his true self. He looked up at me and instinctively threw the cigarette aside. I looked at the cigarette that took a moment to go out on the ground, walked over, and slapped him on the head. You started smoking. He shook his head. Then he spat out the bubble gum he was chewing and showed it to me. What are you doing here? He shifted to the side, making room for me. I crouched down next to him. Is this place only for you to come? He started to laugh. His laughter was truly beautiful, like a meteor streaking across the night sky. Gu Chennan, why don't you come to school? He casually picked up a stone and threw it into the river. Anyway, there aren't many days left to attend. Your mom came to school today. His stone-throwing hand paused mid-air. She spoke with the principal. You won't be expelled, this time. The stone he threw into the river caused a big splash. Gu Chennan stood up from the ground. I don't need her feigned concern. She got married and has other children. He looked down at me, his eyes dull. She has shed that shameful status, and that child will be born legitimate, receiving everyone's love and blessings. What about me then? His voice was low and hoarse, like a needle piercing my heart. I stood up, meeting his gaze. You have me, with me. You are also legitimate, and also deserve everyone's love and blessings. Gu Chennan, come back to school, with me. In a previous life, it was around this time that Gu Chennan left school, and then there was no news from him. But this time, Gu Chennan came back. No one in the school gossiped about Gu Chennan's background anymore, as everyone had entered a tense study period. Months passed in the blink of an eye. On the day the college entrance examination ended, the students, who had been tense as a tightly drawn string, celebrated wildly like untamed horses within the school. I stood quietly in the corridor, experiencing an unprecedented sense of relaxation. At that moment, Lin Zison approached me. He was already guaranteed a university spot but had still participated in the exams. Song Jia. He joined me in watching the clouds overhead. Where do you want to go to university? This was a question I had once asked him. I glanced at him sideways. Since I stopped liking him, I realized he was just ordinary. Love really is a bizarre filter. I'll go to a university in a city I like, I answered with a smile, but definitely not in City B. He was taken aback. Song Jia. He looked down at me. I gave up my guaranteed spot. That truly surprised me. This lifetime, he seemed like a completely different person. If you want to go to City S, I'm willing to follow you there. He said earnestly. I like you. Be my girlfriend. I frowned, feeling slightly nauseous. The tables had turned, but now it was his turn. Yet, I wasn't too happy. Just then, Gu Chennan waved at me from downstairs. My frown turned into a smile, and I waved back at him. As I was about to turn and go downstairs, I said to Lin Zison, with your grades, you can still go to City B even without the guarantee. Lin Zison, I don't like you, I said earnestly, word by word. I didn't like you before, I don't like you now, and I won't like you in the future. I will never like you. Nor do I like the self that would sacrifice its identity for you. What's so good about Gu Chennan? He persisted, following closely behind me. He smokes, drinks, fights, and his grades are a mess, and he's an illegitimate child that nobody wants to see. As he finished speaking, I turned around and slapped him. I initially thought that his infidelity was a mistake he made 10 years later, and I shouldn't blame his present self for it, so all I thought about was keeping my distance from him. To my surprise, he turned out to be such a person. Maybe I never really knew him. He's better than you in every way, I said, laughing sarcastically. Lin Zison, what do you even like about me? If I remember correctly, ever since you transferred to our school, I never bothered you. Look behind you. My gaze shifted to a group of girls behind him. So many girls are around you, and you don't fall for them but choose to like me instead. Are you just being masochistic, or perhaps, you're so used to being on a pedestal that you enjoy conquering a woman like me who isn't swayed by you? I looked at him coldly. If I were like those girls behind you, would you still like me? No. He probably never expected a girl to say such things to him. Frozen in place, he didn't move. At that moment, a girl from behind him couldn't stand it anymore and stepped forward, but before she could say anything, Gu Chinnan grabbed my hand from behind and ran downstairs. That day, Gu Chinnan and I ran for a long time. The wind blew past us, lifting my hair. Gu Chinnan smiled. Look, even the wind says you're free. I was free. At the graduation party, Lindsayson didn't show up. The girls who liked Lindsayson looked at me as if they wanted to devour me, but with Gu Chinnan sitting next to me, none dared to approach. I ate the fruit platter in the KTV, smiling at Gu Chinnan. You're like my bodyguard now. I'm happy to be, he said, raising an eyebrow with a mischievous smile. That day, everyone drank. Many classmates were drinking for the first time, getting completely drunk, after sending the last girl, who was cursing at me, home. I turned to look at Gu Chinnan behind me. His ears were tinged with pink. He had drunk quite a bit. We walked back shoulder to shoulder, the streetlights stretching our shadows long, though we were still a fist's distance apart. Our shadows seemed to be holding hands. Song Jia. Gu Chinnan suddenly stopped. I looked at our shadows and stopped too. I like you. He turned to face me. His eyes were always so bright, as if trying to draw people in. I slightly lowered my head, tucking my hair behind my ear. I know, I had known for a long time. When he pulled me to watch his competitions one after another, when he jumped off the wall to stop those thugs. My background is not glamorous, I'm not good at studying, and I fight. He repeated the words Lindsayson had said that day, but I don't smoke. I raised my hand to cover his mouth. His lips were cold, and they moved slightly in the palm of my hand. Ticklish, palm ticklish, heart ticklish. Your background is not your fault. I patiently responded. Not everyone needs to be a good student. You excel in swimming and always come first. You fight but never unjustly, and you can protect me. You are so good. I blinked, tilting my head to look at him. I like you too. He was stunned. His eyes brightened again, as if scattering all the stars in the sky into them. Really, really. After that, we stopped talking. I walked back to the entrance of the apartment complex with my face burning red. At the entrance, as I was about to say goodbye, Gu Chinnan suddenly asked, "Do you want to try some bubble gum?" I was taken aback for a moment. "It's very sweet," he assured me confidently. I nodded blankly and reached out my hand. Instead, he popped a piece of bubble gum into his mouth and blew a bubble. Just as I was wondering what he was up to, he bent down slightly and touched the bubble to my lips. My mind went blank, and my tongue instinctively licked my lips. With a pop, the bubble burst, and I came back to my senses. "Is it sweet?" Gu Chinnan asked with a smile. In that instant, my face flushed with heat as blood rushed to my head. I stomped my foot and turned to run away. Not sweet at all, I lied. Both Gu Chinnan and I went to S City. He was exceptionally admitted to our school because of his outstanding swimming achievements. In S City, all those rumors and gossip were gone. As soon as Gu Chinnan started school, he was featured on the confession wall. Hey, isn't that Gu? The campus heartthrob. I sat in the cafe, looking at the person who had just finished training and came to meet me, my tone dripping with sarcasm. Gu Chinnan sat down next to me with a cheery smile. Campus heartthrob, here, I'm only the boyfriend of Song, the campus beauty. I laughed and playfully punched his chest, taking the opportunity to feel his increasingly firm muscles. Every time this happened, it felt like a dream. This was technically my second time in college, but it felt like this was how college was supposed to be. Endless competitions, countless awards, and a boyfriend who treated me well, not just waiting every day outside the boys' dormitory. Time passed beautifully and warmly. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed. It was September 8th again, the day I turned 27. I stared at the calendar on the wall, lost in thought. It's been 10 years. Gu Chinnan hugged me from behind, also looking at the calendar. Yeah, 10 years ago today, I became your desk mate. Yes. I smiled and turned around to hug him. Hurry up and get ready, or we'll be late. Today was his last race before retirement. It was important. Originally, he didn't want to participate and wanted to stay home with me. I insisted that he participate, not wanting him to have any regrets about this. After seeing him off, I curled up on the sofa again. After a while, the high school group chat suddenly started talking. saying that Lindsayson was getting married. Then someone posted a photo. It was a photo of Lindsayson and a woman. Unlike the photo I received 10 years ago, this woman was dressed properly, and her eyes bore a slight resemblance to mine. Bakur messaged me privately, Lindsayson really has deep feelings for you. Don't, I can't bear that, I replied with a laugh. The high school group chat continued lively, while I stared at the photo of Lindsayson and that woman on my screen. Everything was different, yet it seemed to be slowly overlapping. I drifted off to sleep again amid the blur. The nightmare that I hadn't had in a long time came back. I was still helplessly crouched on the balcony, but this time I opened Guchanan's chat. Just as I was about to type, I suddenly stopped. I exited the chat interface and dialed Guchanan's number. Guchanan, who was participating in the competition, answered the phone, his voice anxious yet tender. Don't be afraid, I'm here for you. All my fears instantly vanished. I woke up to the sound of my phone ringing. Subsequently, I heard Guchanan's voice. Whatever, I'm retiring anyway, just say I lack sportsmanship. I struggled to wake up, and as I opened my eyes, I saw Guchanan standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. An unprecedented sense of security overwhelmed me. My nose tingled, and tears began to fall. Why did you come back? I asked him hoarsely. He ended his phone call and turned to look at me, his expression obscured by the backlight. All I knew was that he was as warm as the sunshine. He smiled and asked me, there's still soup simmering in the pot, and you fell asleep. What would you do without me? End of the main text. Guchanan's side story. When I saw the news about the big fire, I had just finished a meeting. Mr. Gu, you have another meeting this afternoon. I loosened my tie and ran outside, my assistant trailing behind me. Cancel them, cancel everything. I drove, running through countless red lights until I reached the destination. The building was surrounded by people, but Lindsayson was nowhere to be seen. His house was on fire, yet he hadn't returned. Over there, someone pointed to a balcony on a high floor. That's the lady of the house, Song Jia. Ignoring the police's attempts to stop me, I rushed in. The elevators were out of service due to the fire. I climbed the stairs floor by floor, my heart growing colder with each step. The fire was really big. In the end, I collapsed outside the door. If I had another chance, I would never hesitate or let her be with someone else. Perhaps even the heavens took pity on me. When I woke up, I found myself back 10 years ago. Guchanan, switch places, and sit next to Song Jia, the teacher said, and I couldn't have been happier. I began to deliberately get close to Song Jia. The rumors that she liked me were spread by me. Even if at first she wanted to use me to play hard to get with Lindsayson, it didn't matter, as long as she stayed by my side, and I could protect her at all times. I no longer quietly followed her. Every morning, I woke up very early, took a long detour to her neighborhood to wait for her, and then we went to school and came home together. Whenever Lindsayson tried to approach her, I would appear right on time. I made sure to coincidentally pass by any place she appeared. Even if she said she didn't like me, what did it matter? She would eventually like me. Everything was moving in a positive direction, until that day, when my mother, whom I hadn't seen in many years, appeared. Suddenly, I remembered that unbearable past. Suddenly, I realized the identity I couldn't share with others. No matter how much I changed, what was meant to come would still come. Chu Tianhui, the man who found me, brought thugs that I couldn't handle. You're just a bastard. He looked down at me from his high ground. Tell your mother to stay away from my family. You'll never be part of the Chu family. I couldn't refute a single word he said. This identity was suffocating me, and Song Jia was even more dazzling than in my past life, so dazzling that I often asked myself if I was worthy of her. Do you think you're worthy of her? After the college entrance examination, Lindsayson confronted me with the same words he had once said. He knew I liked Song Jia. He had known for a long time. This time, I countered, do you think you are worthy of the fiery love Song Jia had in her previous life? As I was leaving, I turned back to see him, his hand gripping the coffee cup tightly. You had a chance to have her, I said softly, but you didn't cherish it. If you don't cherish her, don't blame me for stepping in. Because of Song Jia, in this life, I chose a different path. I didn't end up at the Chu family's doorstep out of desperation. Instead, I climbed my way up into the national team step by step. Soon, the day of my retirement arrived. The entertainment industry had already extended an olive branch to me, waiting to sign me as soon as I retired. As long as it provided a good life for Song Jia, I was willing to do anything. But she insisted that I participate in a competition on September 8th. I love watching you compete, she said. I could never refuse her requests. Then come watch me compete. Stop kidding, I've got work to handle. I felt uneasy with her staying at home alone. Before the competition, I called her twice with no answer. A wave of fear overwhelmed me, and ignoring all obstacles, I changed clothes and rushed home. When I opened the door, I saw her curled up on the sofa, sleeping peacefully, with my favorite soup still simmering in the kitchen. The bubbling sound filled the room. I walked into the kitchen and turned off the stove. As the bubbling ceased, my heart calmed down as well. I squatted beside the sofa, gazing at Songjia's serene face, feeling more grateful than ever at that moment. But then a phone call woke her up. The phone should have been on silent. It's okay, a little controversy is good for publicity, especially since I haven't even entered the entertainment industry yet, I said with a laugh as I pulled her tightly into my arms and kissed her furrowed brow. I rushed back just to enjoy the soup you made, didn't I? She was easy to appease. It wasn't long before she was okay again. The high school group chat was still lively. Suddenly, someone posted a blurry photo. Songjia enlarged the photo again and again, pointing at the person behind her in the photo and asking me, "Hey, is this you?" It seemed to be from an event in our first year of high school. Yes, I held her close. I was always behind you, but you never looked back. So I had to run up beside you. She looked puzzled and suddenly looked up. Tell me the truth, when did you start liking me? A long time ago. I can't even remember clearly. When we were 6, she took my hand at the door.